I'm Dr. Tapan Chandra Kolita, and I welcome you to my YouTube channel, Political Science Made Easy. Today, I'm going to learn on the various theories of Plato. So let's start. Plato's theory of justice. The conception of Plato's theory of justice occupies an important place in his celebrated book, The Republic. He is in favor of providing justice to all sections of the society. He considers justice as an integral part of the state. Prior definitions. Some political philosophers prior to Plato tried to give definitions on justice. Cephalus defines justice as telling the truth, being honest in word and deed, and paying one's debts. Polemarchus, the son of Cephalus, points out that justice means giving his man his due or what was fitting. Thrasymachus defines justice as the interest of the stronger party, namely the ruler. Glaucon argues that it is the product of convention, where the stronger ruled and the weaker obey, and get protection from the stronger few. Now come to what the Plato's view was. Plato criticizes all these viewpoints and opines that justice is something internal. Plato's justice has two implications, personal and social. It exists in the individual and the state. The personal implication of justice means a disposition on the part of man which prevents him from doing an act out of a sense of duty. Individually, justice is a human virtue that makes a man self-consistent and good. Social implication of justice means a group of persons or class should not interfere in the rights of other classes. Socially, justice is a social consciousness that makes a society internally harmonious and good. It considers justice as the remedy against political and social ills of city-state. Now come to the next point, three classes. Plato put forward his idea of justice with the help of the three classes and three souls. He is of the opinion that every human soul has three qualities: rationality, spirit, and appetite, and with justice as the fourth virtue. He further says that in each soul, one of these qualities would be the predominant faculty. The corresponding virtue of reason is wisdom. Therefore, the individual with the predominance of the rational faculty constitutes ruling class. That is, those who have the reason or the faculty of wisdom should constitute the ruling class. Then, the corresponding virtue of spirit is courage. The people having spirit as a dominant quality are therefore warriors or soldiers. That means that the people who have spirit or courage, virtue of spirit or courage, should have constitute the defending class or the soldier class or the military class, the warriors. According to Plato, these two classes constitute together the guardian class in the society. That is, the ruling class is the first guardian, and the defending or the soldier class or the military class is the second guardian, the inferior class by or inferior guardians. Next, individual whose dominant quality is appetite develop a fondness for material things. The artisans and the producing class belongs to this group. So the appetite develops ultimately the number three class, the producing class, which includes also the artisans. The people belonging to this group love money. To him, appetite is the lowest and reason is the highest virtue. Now, three principles. Plato's conception of justice is based on three principles. They are functional specialization. Those are allotment of a specific function to every individual according to his capacity. B. Non-interference by virtue by various classes in each other's sphere of duty and concentration on its own duties. And C. Harmony between the three classes representing wisdom, courage, and temperance, respectively. So now we come to the major points of criticism. Number one, Plato's concept of justice is based on moral principles and it lacks legal sanctions. Number two, the theory expects everyone to perform the allotted duties to the satisfaction of society, but it is impractical in modern state. Number three, using only one quality of an individual means abandoning the one-third of the personality of an individual. Number four, the theory provides absolute ruling power to the philosopher class only. Thus, it creates inequality in the society. And number five, this concept is totalitarian in character and overlooks the principles like equality, individualism, and freedom. But in conclusion, we can say that though there are defects in Plato's theory of justice, it should be remembered that this concept stands for devolution of to duties and functional specialization. Now, students, we come to his second conception, his conception of education. Plato's conception of justice was the central theme of his ideal state, which he discussed in his first book, The Republic. The theory of justice is analyzed on the basis of two main conceptions, conception of education and communism. His conception of education is a mixture of the Spartan and Athenian system, which has two aspects, individual and social. So Plato deals with the concept of education systematically and thoroughly. The scheme can broadly be divided into two stages, elementary and higher, which can also be subdivided into various subclasses or substages. Now we discuss the elementary education. Elementary education starts from the very childhood and continues to the age of 20. It is subdivided into three stages. First substage, birth from the completion of 5 years. In this stage, the children should be taught simple religious and moral truths as well as good manners and good tastes. Second substage, from 6 to 18 years. The second stage contains both physical and intellectual education. A student should be educated in music, gymnastics, and element of science. Those three things include here: music, gymnastics, and elements of science. It should also emphasize on the development of moral principles. Plato put restrictions on certain types of instruments of music like flute. So some restrictions is also regarded here. Third substage, 18 to 20 years. In this stage, Physical education is imparted for strengthening body and also mind. It provides for compulsory military training and for both men and women. So very important thing is that Plato's conception of education is open for all, both men and women, of guardian class. Next come to the higher education. According to Plato's scheme of education, higher education starts at the age of 20 and continues till the age of 35. This stage is also divided into two substages. Substage 1, 20 to 30 years. In this stage, both intellectual and physical education is provided to men and women. Emphasis is laid on mathematics, arithmetic, astronomy, logic, and dialectics. So these subjects are taught: mathematics, arithmetic, astronomy, logic, and dialectics. Dialectics is the power of analysis. There is a provision for training in public service also. Second substage 30 to 35 years. At the age of 30, a test was taken. Those who are qualified are selected for further training on mathematics, science, and dialectics. One thing should be also mentioned here, that those who could not qualify, they are ultimately appointed as soldiers for the defense of the country. Next, dialectics is given importance as Plato believes that it is the only system of knowledge through which the highest reality can be achieved. Those who come out from this very scheme of education are selected for 15 years of practical experiences. According to Plato, from the age of 36, after passing through this scheme of education, the guardian should exercise their authority in the state. Now, critical points. The major points of criticism leveled against Plato's conception of education can be listed as follows. Number 1, Plato's education policy is a partial one that gives importance only to guardian class. So, importance only given to guardian class. Plato's conception of education is too long to follow. It is a very long process of education. The scheme is unrealistic and aims to create a philosopher having only theoretical knowledge. Therefore, in the scheme, there is no provision for imparting education in the art of administration. Plato makes no provision for technical and vocational training also. So in conclusion, we can say that though there are some demerits, it cannot be denied that Plato helps to improve the system of education that existed in Athens and Sparta. He emphasized the need of education for the people who rule over the people, and education aims at moral as well as physical development. So now we come to Plato's theory of communism. Plato stated that his theory of communism for guardian classes in his The Republic. According to Plato, communism is the only path for spiritual reformation of the guardian community. The guardians should not be allowed to possess any movable or immovable property. The guardians are not to have families also. So the first part is communism of property. Plato has stated various reasons for advocating communism of property for the guardian classes. They are allowed to have a small amount of property necessary for living. The reason behind restrictions are as follows. Number A, Plato believes that the combination of economic and political power corrupts a man. The present condition is a vivid example of such. Number B, communism of property follows a necessary consequence of the idea of justice. Plato believed that justice in a state prevails when the philosophers rule wisely. When the philosophers rule wisely, soldiers fight bravely and producers produce honestly. Next, Plato says that private property is the root cause of all social evils. It gives rise to selfishness and takes away the attention of the guardian from the public. Ultimately, private property takes away the attention of the guardian from the public. That is another cause. And the first one is economic and political combination of economic and political power ultimately corrupt person. Therefore, property should not be given to the guardian class. Next, Plato's communism of property has three ideas behind it, which are firstly, it aims at preparing the guardians for their special task of providing selfish services to the people, selfish services to the people. Next, secondly, it helps in separating economic and political power. And thirdly, it will help in bringing unity in the state. The common people get fed in the ruling class for not competing for wealth. Now, the demerits of the theory can be listed as follows. Number one, communism of property goes against the natural instinct of human being. Number two, Plato's scheme is meant for the guardian classes or the philosopher king only. Number three, in the absence of private property, the guardian classes will not be in a position to perform the activities like charity or benevolence. So, though there are some defects against the communism of private property, Plato rightly imagines that the combination of economic and political power can rise to corruption, which may degenerate the philosopher king. The student, we now come to the next side of his communism of property, that is communism of wives or family. After communism of property, Plato discusses his theory of communism of wives in his The Republic. He realized that the evolution of the institution of private property without evolution of the family would result in nothing. He has given certain reasons for the communism of wives. They are political reasons, moral reasons, and eugenic reasons. Political reasons is family attention may create problem in the functioning of the state. It is a hindrance in the attainment of the unity. Moral reasons, Plato is of the view that women possesses the same mental capacity as men, so they should be allowed to enjoy their legitimate and due position in the state. And eugenic reasons, Plato feels that through a system of temporary marriage regulated by the state, the creation of a better and intelligent race is possible. So Plato wants to reform the conventional marriage system and does to emancipate the position of women. He believes that marriage leads to the subordination, subjugation, and seclusion of women. Regarding the ideal age for marriage, Plato believes that it should be between 25 to 55 for men and 20 to 40 for women. According to Plato, men and women guardians should stay in common barracks and live together. The brave men should combine with the beautiful women as far as possible. Communism of wives provides regulation in the growth of population also. Again, after the birth of the child, the state maintained nursery will take care of it. Through communism of wives, guardian will be free from family affection and love. Plato also suggests that weak and disfigured children should be immediately killed because in the long run they will be a burden on the state. It is mentionable that communism of wives is only for the guardian class as the communism of property. So the defects are Plato does not separate the state and family. The theory is bound to lead to social disharmony. In this scheme, the silent will be deprived of parental love and care. It applies to the guardian class, which is partial. The conception, the institution of family is reduced to a mechanical process. Here also it is said that those weak and disfigured children should be immediately killed. Ultimately, it is also against morality. Lastly, we can say that despite the criticism, it must be remembered that Plato's aim is to establish a just society ruled by a wise and virtuous ruler. He believes that only without emotional ties and economic greed, a person can provide selfless service to the masses. Now we can see the distinctions, the differences between Plato's communism and modern communism. Number one, the basis of Marxist communism or modern communism is economic, but the main motive of Plato's communism is establish a just society ruled by philosopher king. So it is established of a just society, and the aim of the Marxian communism or modern communism is economic. The number two, modern communism talks about class struggle between two classes, namely haves and have-nots. So class struggle between haves and have-nots. But in Plato's communism, there is no mention about conflicts between classes. So no mention of conflicts. Number three, Marxian communism stands for ending exploitation. It is for ending exploitation. And Plato's communism stands for functional specialization and devotion of duty. Plato's communism aims at functional specialization and devotion of duty. Fourthly, Marxian communism believes that with the advancement of communism, the state will gradually wither away. The state will gradually wither away, according to modern communism. On the other hand, Platonic communism believes that the practice of communism leads to establishment of just and ideal state. The ultimate aim is to establishment of just and ideal state. Next, number 5. In Marxian communism, changes occur through revolution. Changes occur through revolution. Plato favors evolutionary means of changes, while Plato accepted or favors evolutionary means for changes, and there emerge distinct classes. Here, now let us take the next concept, that is the characteristics of Plato's ideal state. The student from the above discussion on various concepts and theories of Plato, ultimately we found the various projection of Plato regarding his ideal state. Ultimately, in this discussion, we make those points where there is the ingredients of ideal states can be found. Plato projected an ideal state in his first book, The Republic, which he modified in his later work, The Laws. The unique characteristics can be seen as follows. Number 1, rule by the philosopher king. The concept of rule by the philosopher king is the most original conception of Plato. He was of the opinion that the affairs of the state can be set right only if wise and educated people rule the nation. The next is Plato's conception of education. So Plato, we have already discussed that makes a very elaborate scheme of education where he divided the whole education scheme into two: elementary education and higher education. In the elementary education can also be subdivided into uh, substage 0 to 6, next 6 to 8, next 18 to 20 years. We have discussed very widely in the earlier part. Next, higher education, it is also subdivided into first substage 20 to 30 years, second substage 30 to 35 years. Thirdly, his conception of justice. We have already discussed Plato's conception of justice, which he discussed in his book, The Republic. Plato criticizes the prior definitions on justices, and then he gives his own. And according to him, justice has two implications, personal and social. It exists in the individual and the state. The personal implications of justice means a disposition on the part of man which prevents him from doing an act out of a sense of duty. Social implications of justice means a group of persons or class should not interfere in the rights of other classes. Plato lastly considers justice as the remedy against the political and social ills of the city-state. The number 4 points, communism of property. We have already discussed that the guardian class should not have possessed the right to property. He believes that combination of economic and political power corrupt men. He also believed that state prevails when the philosopher king rule wisely, soldiers fight bravely, and producers produce honestly. And he says that private property is the root cause of all social evils. Next, communism of wives. According to Plato, family system should not be for the guardian class, because when there is a family bondage, then the rulers can divert the family, ultimately may divert from the ultimate aim or ultimate goal to establish a just state. So he stated 3 reasons: political reasons, moral reasons, and eugenic reasons. Then Plato wants to reform the conventional marriage system and thus to emancipate the position of women. He also mentions of 3 classes of people when he put forward his theory of justice. He is of the opinion that every human soul has 3 qualities: rationality, spirit, and appetite, with justice as the 4th virtue. He further says that in each soul, one of these qualities would be predominant faculty. The corresponding virtue of reason is wisdom, and those who have wisdom should constitute the ruling class. Next, corresponding virtue of spirit is courage, and those have the spirit of courage should constitute the defending class. According to Plato, these 2 classes together constitute the guardian class. Then individual whose dominant quality is appetite develop a fondness for material things. The artisans and the producing class belongs to this group. Then he has talked on 3 principles. They are functional specialization, non-interference by various classes, and harmony between the 3 classes representing wisdom, courage, and temperance respectively. Lastly, we criticize his conception of ideal state on the basis of the following points. Number 1, a Platonic ideal state will be totalitarian in nature. 2, advocacy of slavery is unsupportive. 3, Plato ignored the role of working and producing class. 4, idea is a utopian idea. 5, philosopher kings are not trained in the art of governing the people, and above all, his conception is not favorable for democracy. Lastly, however, it must be admitted that Plato has made valuable contributions to political theory by depicting the ideal state. Here he sets forth certain targets for succeeding generations to thrive for. The students, we can also notice certain very short questions from our long discussions. The first, according to Plato, the philosopher king is lover of wisdom and seeker of truth. Second, Cephalus defines justice as telling the truth, being honest in word and deed, and paying one's debt. Polemarchus defines justice as the interest of the stronger party, namely the ruler. Plato's first book is the Republic, and the last book is the Laws. An important book of Plato is the Statesman. Plato's plan of education starts from the very birth of the child. Plato pleaded for the emancipation of women. Plato's conception of communism is restricted to guardian class only. According to Plato, the ideal number of citizens are 5040. And his communism says property is only for the producing classes. So students, from this long discussion, you can ultimately get the knowledge of all the conception of Plato. So if you find this video very helpful for you, then like it, share it, and if you are not subscribed, then please subscribe it. And one acknowledgement I made here that this to prepare this video, I take help from various sources. I sincerely acknowledge all of them. Thank you.